welcome back. It is Bones. And today I did go into Target. I am still looking for that darn Superwoman figure. No luck, but I did come across this recently released Manga Spawn from McFarlane. Now, I'd never really pre-ordered this, so I went ahead and picked it up because I knew eventually I would get one of these. Now, I have to be honest, I was never a big fan of all the manga stuff that McFarlane released in his classic run of Spawn. Yeah, I tried to get into it, but it was just, a lot of different designs. And I mean, if you liked it and you collected all those figures, that's perfect. But even now, when I go back and look at old classic Spawn figures that I like to pick up, the manga ones just never really did it for me. But I thought this one looked really interesting, and since it is coming out in the current Spawn line, then I was going to go ahead and scoop it up. So now he does look really mechanized in the packaging, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. But first, he does come with your standard Spawn black stand. It is basically like the multiverse stands, but it does have Spawn on it. Obviously for this figure, not really needed. Now, he also does come with some pretty sweet accessories. He does come with two smaller blades. One is kind of like a Tonto cut blade, and one is more of a serrated hunting knife. Pretty nice. He also comes with some weapons. One is kind of like an axe staff. Now, all of these do have a little bit of translucent plastic on them for that necro look. He also has this sort of elongated blade. Now, this one's really nice. It does have a lot of detail, like little gears and straps and buttons and stuff on it, so that one's really nice. And then, of course, he does come with a sword. Now, these are pretty sturdy. They're not too soft, but they are a little bit pliable. But all in all, I'd say this is like a medium, not too hard, but also not too floppy. So pretty cool. Now, this sword does have some really awesome details on the handle and the hilt. Really cool. And then, of course, he does come with a shield for his left arm. I guess this is kind of composited of necroplasm energy, so that's a cool little accessory. Now, another thing was the packaging. The packaging is really nice. It has some like comic style artwork on it, and the inside has a pretty cool like kind of necroplasm sort of background. The bad part is once you try and take off that plastic that holds in the stand, it's pretty much going to be ruined, but it is pretty cool for what it is. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at this guy. Pretty hefty figure. That's a lot of plastic there. First impressions, looks really nice because he has more of like I don't know how to say this, kind of like a superhero-esque stature, outline of a human form, so that's pretty nice. Basically, you have minimum colors on here. You have a lot of like darkish blue, some red, some silver, and a little bit of green necro color. So all in all, it's pretty nice. Nice armor on him. Let's go ahead and take a look at the head. Now, the head is in the manga style, kind of like a robot armor. Looks pretty much like a throwback to that old McFarlane stuff. Has some wings on the side of the head. Let's check out the articulation. He looks up slightly, but he looks down very well. You can turn him to the right, to the left. You can even cock his head for some attitude. All in all, really nice head sculpt with your basic McFarlane articulation. Pretty distinct manga head sculpt there, so that's really nice. Let's go ahead and check out the chest plate. Now you have a lot of detail here on the chest. You have like two little skulls right on top of the breastplate. You know McFarlane has to throw in his skulls in there. Let's take a look at the articulation at the waist. Now he does have side to side, but this only comes from one swivel, which is in the upper chest, so he doesn't have a lower swivel. At the waist, he only has the upper chest one, but you also do get that full range of motion around. You can turn them. Pretty nice range of motion for a big robot. Now he cannot crunch too much because his armor hits right below there, but you can lean him back a good amount. A little bit limited on the articulation of the waist, but it does make sense because he's a more of a robot, you know, has a little bit limited articulation due to the armor. Let's take a look at the arms. The cool part is he does have a swivel up here above the bicep. These are single jointed elbows. Tons of sculpt work actually on both sides. Now at this like demon skull shoulder pauldron, it actually moves up where you could get his arm up with that forearm guard under there, so you could get him in a T pose. Moving down at the hands, he has the basic ball joint where you get the articulation at the hinge, and you can also move it and get more range of motion. On this side, he has kind of like spikes with another shoulder pauldron, and then going down into this fixed blade in like a guard there above his forearm. Now, actually in the artwork, this blade is the actual like transparent green, like this necro stuff. So that's kind of, it would have been nicer, but it's pretty cool. Now this blade is removable, so you could get this out if you would like to display him like with one of the swords or something like that, without having that blade like in the way. But you could also pop it back in. Pretty nice. Let's go ahead and move down to the thighs. Now he does have awesome thigh swivel. Get almost a 360 range of motion there. You could also pop out his leg. Now these are single joint, but you do have hip rotation. Straightening them out. Go down to the foot. You do have up and down. You do have rocker, which always helps with these bigger figures. And then you do have right to left. Now before we move off of the legs, awesome sculpt work here on the legs. You have a lot of detail, some skulls here on the knees. You have an upper skull actually here at the lower pelvis. And then of course you have the classic McFarlane stump foot, which is really nice because that kind of helps the figure stand, but also gives it some asymmetrical characteristics. Pretty sweet. Really digging it. Now the joints are actually really smooth, and even if you were to heat this up, you could probably get them to be a little bit more smoother. But even without that, you have all the range of motion you need. You have a rocker on this side. Pretty good for a big robotic figure. Looking at the bottom, no tread, but he does have some identifying marks and a little bit of heel print. Moving up the back, beautiful sculpt work here, gears and pistons, all kinds of stuff. Moving up into the back. Now he does come with a cloth goods cape, and it is actually very reminiscent of the Batman Year 2 cloth cape. It has like that springiness, but it's not too heavy, but it does hang down. Not too bad. You could actually take off these shoulder pauldrons and take it off if you would like to display them without it. But all in all, looks pretty good. Adds a little bit of character to him. Now you do have these prongs here on the back, and this is where the weapons go. Each weapon has a hole there. Now I'm sure you could move them around and put the weapons in different positions, deciding on what you would like. We'll just go for a standard with the sword in the back, kind of like sheathed. Now another thing is you have these little blades. These blades actually go here on some portholes on the thighs. So you pop these in to there. One on each side. Pretty sure you can also put these in his hands. Actually looks really full of weapons and stuff. That's really nice, actually. Looks really good. And then of course his shield gets pegged here on his left guard. There you go. So he's all armored up there, ready to get into some battles. Pretty happy with him, like I said before. Not necessarily one of the figures I wanted to get right away, but I did find him in store, so I went ahead and picked him up. Happy with it. Looks really, really cool. Actually, looks like a lot of fun. You could probably get him into some cool poses as long as you manipulate the legs and stuff. So all in all, really happy with it. Before we go, let's do a little bit of size comparison. Let's take a look at him next to Spawn. Then let's take a look at him next to the Superman Unchained Armor, which kind of has the same look as he does, a little bit of that manga feel to him. Pretty nice. Let's throw him next to my custom repainted Lobo. And also sticking with a bigger figure, let's look at him next to my repainted Darkfather. And finally, for some big boy comparisons, let's look at him next to my custom repainted Man-Bat from McFarlane. So all in all, surprisingly, wasn't really like anticipating this figure, but now that I have him, he's really nice to have up on your shelf. A newer iteration of Manga Spawn. Love the contrasting of the colors, the silvers with the green and the red with the dark blue. Looks really nice. But anyways, this guy is showing up on shelves out there. Keep cool. See you on the next one.